We got a nice surprise this morning, a great way to kick off the week. Of course, I'm talking about Call of Duty Warzone, the new free-to-play Battle Royale game. This has been rumored for quite some time, but we did get the official reveal today in the form of the trailer going live on the Call of Duty YouTube channel. Activision posted a blog post about the game, and there's also numerous YouTube videos from what looks to be a hands-on event that took place not too long ago. We've got a new game to play, so if you like Battle Royale, let's talk about what Warzone is going to be. So again, it's a free-to-play Battle Royale game. This is completely separate from the yearly Call of Duty releases. So you don't need to own the most recent release of Modern Warfare in order to play Warzone. Although if you do, you're going to get a little bit of early access, and you'll also get extra skins and weapon cosmetics, although we're not exactly sure how that's going to work at the moment. So what is Warzone? It is a 150-player Battle Royale. It's going to play like Battle Royales. You'll drop in with a starter pistol, go around the map searching for loot, fighting other players, and trying to be the last remaining squad. The circle mechanic in this game is a poison cloud that's going to be creeping in periodically, and games are said to last around roughly 25 minutes. So what is it about Warzone that's going to be different from other Battle Royale games? Again, fundamentally it's going to be the same, but some of the differences we'll start off with is the map, roughly 3 times the size of the Blackout map, and about the same size as larger PUBG maps. They're also saying it's highly detailed, custom-built interior and exterior locations. It's not just a simple copy-paste of existing Call of Duty maps, although it will include some well-known Call of Duty multiplayer locations. And given that it's a fairly large size, it's also going to include vehicles. We'll have things like ATVs and trucks and helicopters in this game to help you traverse the map a little bit quicker. Squad sizes, I got some conflicting info initially about this. Early on, I heard that there was going to be solo, duo, and trio, but apparently it's 3-man squads only. So there's going to be no solo or duo queue options. However, there are squad fill options where you can choose if you want to fill up your squad or not. And in doing so, you could drop solo and duo, but you'll still be fighting against other squads of 3. I'm really not entirely sure why they decided to go this route. You know, it kind of makes sense in a game like Apex where you've got these hero classes with specific abilities and stuff. This game isn't going to be like that. Like, there aren't roles to fill per se. I'm a little confused as to why they aren't offering solo and duo as an option, at least initially. That is something that could change with time. It's been said too that this game is going to be a pretty fast-paced game. So first off, the time to kill is said to be faster than most Battle Royale games. It's going to perform a lot like the multiplayer of Call of Duty. So weapons are going to be performing identical apparently to the Modern Warfare multiplayer, the same damage, range, rate of fire, although they are increasing headshot damage slightly due to the Battle Royale having an armor system in it. There's also going to be a ping system to quickly call out items and locations. And one of the biggest things that are going to lend to a faster pace of gameplay when it comes to Warzone is the simplification of the looting in this game. So there's going to be a variety of loot. You know, you'll loot weapons and gear. There's cash that you're going to find in the game. And all of this will be found either on the ground, in boxes, or when you take out other players. But the big thing here is they're kind of prioritizing you spending your time on the gameplay and not the looting and the inventory system. So weapons that drop in this game will have attachments already, and there's no customization. So you can't swap attachments. You won't pick up new attachments that you can put on guns. Basically, what you pick up is what you get. There won't be any attachment management in this game, and the inventory in general is said to be rather simplified. The whole idea here is they want to bring the focus to you playing the game. I think for people, this is going to be a pro and a con, depending on what kind of game you're looking for. Games like PUBG, inventory management and trying to maximize your speed when it comes to looting and stuff is part of the gameplay experience. This game is trying to reduce that as much as possible. And I think it makes a lot of sense given it's Call of Duty, and the biggest portion of Call of Duty's player base has traditionally been on consoles. So having less fiddling with attachments and inventory stuff probably makes sense if you've got a majority of your players playing with a controller. The game is also going to have these things called buy stations, and this is going to play into the money that takes place in Warzone. So you're going to collect money as you play. Again, you'll find it on the ground when you take out other players in boxes, and that money can be used at these buy stations to purchase things like additional special equipment, kill streaks, respawn tokens, and then call in a supply drop. And then to play in with this as well, they're also having this contract system, which is really cool. There's 3 different types of contracts in the game. There's bounty, recon, and scavenger. So if you get a bounty contract, you will get a target to go hunt down. down, a specific player. The game's gonna mark the rough location of that player, and then you try to head on over, find them, and take them out. There's also recon, where you have to go to a capture point and basically cap like a domination game mode. And then there's scavenger, where you have to find crates scattered around the map. Now, all of these contracts will reward you with things like high-level loot, cash that you can use at the buy stations, as well as experience. There's also care package loadouts. So, you know, in a lot of battle royales, there'll be care packages or supply drops that come in. You get a random chance of getting some good stuff. Well, in this one, they've got these loadouts. So prior to going into the game, you can set up your ideal custom loadouts, choosing things like your weapons, their attachments, and the perks that you want. And then what'll happen is in the later stages of the games, these care packages will be dropping out of the sky, and they're gonna have in them your preset loadouts. So if there's a particular type of weapon that you really like and perks that you really like, you choose what they are, and then when the care packages come, you can just go there to get that loadout. There's no guessing what you're gonna get from these loadout care packages. You know what's in there. It's just a matter of if you get it or not, because what they're gonna be doing is dropping these care packages in between all remaining players. So they're really gonna try to make sure that there's conflict at these locations. Now, when it comes to health and armor in the game, there will be a health bar as well as armor plates. Health will be regenerating just like in Call of Duty multiplayer. There's also gonna be healing stims if you want a little extra boost to health when it's low. And then there's armor that acts like extra health, plates that you put onto your character, and these will deplete as you take damage. Again, they basically just act like an extra health bar over your entire character. The game's also got a pretty interesting respawn mechanic with it. So when you're playing in a squad, if you get downed, your allies have an opportunity to revive you. If they don't get you in time and you full on die, you're then brought to this gulag, and it's basically this prison location where you're set in a 1v1 duel versus another player, and the person who wins will return to the match. It's supposed to be a pretty short round. You're given a couple of weapons. There's a flag in the middle, and you either try to cap the flag or just take out the other player. Worth noting as well, the gulag is going to only be temporarily available. It won't be for the entirety of the match. Eventually, in the later phases, they will disable this mechanic. But if you die early on, you get the chance of a 1v1 duel to bring yourself back, or your teammates can buy you back in with one of those respawn tokens purchased at a buy station. Besides the Battle Royale mode, there is also this Plunder game mode that will be available with Call of Duty Warzone, this free-to-play spin-off. This is basically like a gunfight mode with respawns. It's on the same map as Warzone, but instead of just being the typical Battle Royale, circle, last man standing, it's this focus around collecting cash. So players will do the contracts, fight other players, do all this stuff, and attempt to be the person with the most cash at the end of the round. So again, this is a free-to-play Call of Duty. It's another thing that they're offering within this package. So speaking of the fact that it's free-to-play, microtransactions are going to be in the game, shares the same item shop and battle pass system as Modern Warfare, and there's going to be no loot boxes as well. So it's all just going to be cosmetic stuff and a battle pass if you're interested in getting involved with that. Now, when does this come out? Well, tomorrow. It launches on March the 10th. Now, for current Modern Warfare owners, you can start playing at 8 a.m. Pacific time, but if you're a new player and you don't own Modern Warfare, you could play 4 hours later at 12 p.m. Pacific time. So whether or not you want to spend the $60 to buy Modern Warfare to play this free-to-play game 4 hours early, I'm going to say it's probably not worth it, especially if we assume that they might have some server issues at launch. Spending $60 for the 4-hour early access at the end of the day, probably not that big of a deal. I wouldn't buy into the fear of missing out when it comes to a 4-hour window if you haven't already bought Modern Warfare. I really wouldn't sweat it. So my overall thoughts, I'm pretty excited. Like, first of all, it's really cool when stuff like this happens. Like, out of nowhere, Monday morning, hey, a new game's announced, and hey, it's playable tomorrow. I really love when stuff like this happens. It's pretty cool. I think it's almost a preferable way of doing things for me. I don't like as much hearing about games like 5 years early and then waiting for eternity, and by the time the game comes out, I'm like already tired of it. That's a self-inflicted problem with my own expectations and hype and all of that. But anyways, point being, I like when stuff like this happens. It's a nice little surprise. I wasn't expecting to be playing Call of Duty this week, but I probably am going to. Now, we had Blackout before this in the last iteration of Call of Duty. And, you know, I played that for a little while and it was fun, but it didn't last forever. Nothing does really, right? But I really think that when it comes to Warzone, they've got a pretty good opportunity on their hands with the fact that it's free to play. You don't have to own another Call of Duty to jump in. Like, yes, you get some extra cosmetic benefits and stuff, and you get a 4-hour early access, but that's not worth $60 in my opinion. We'll see if there's anything else tied in to owning a Call of Duty that makes a better experience for the free-to-play version. I wouldn't spend $60 just for 4-hour early access and a couple of extra weapon skins or something. I highly doubt it's really going to be worth it. And it's cool. I think they've got a good shot. Now, there are certainly some concerns. Obviously, the kill streak stuff, like how powerful is it going to be? Will everyone hoard their kill streaks to the very end of the match, and then there's just like airstrikes galore on the final small circle? That could be a bit of a disaster. Given that it's a free-to-play game, how is their cheat deterrent going to be? Like, are they going to have a really great detection system and ways to stop cheaters from jumping in? Server and tick rate concerns, obviously, that's a question we can't answer until we get our hands on it. And then I think two of the major pain points for a lot of people are probably going to be the simplified loot system. People like fiddling around with inventory and weapon attachments, and I think that crowd isn't going to like the simplified loot. But I do think there's a lot of people who will enjoy the fact that they don't have to be constantly swapping magazines and muzzles and attachments and all that stuff. I can see the benefit to that. And the final big concern is probably just the forced squads of 3. Again, I'm not really sure why they decided to go this route. I kind of get the argument with a game like Apex Legends, where you have these heroes with their specific abilities and ultimates, and you want them to synergize and work together. I don't quite get why they felt the need to do that in a battle royale where it's just a shooter, you know what I mean? Like, there aren't heroes, there aren't roles per se, although there is the perk system, and that will kind of fill role-like things, but it's not the same, so solo mode would be awesome, really, and I hope that's something that they consider. But overall, this is cool. It's a nice little surprise. I guess I'm playing Call of Duty this week. I like battle royales. I always enjoy jumping in when new ones come out. If this ends up being a fun experience, I could see myself playing for a few weeks at least, and I guess we'll see what happens. I'll keep you guys posted, but there you go. A new battle royale, Call of Duty Warzone. It's here. I'll let you guys know if it's any good.